I was recently divorced and I was just single foster momming this little guy over here. And I met him. I'm from the Utica area. When we met, I didn't realize how serious it would be. And then it was very quickly. We both knew going into it that we wanted families. We were a little bit, not older, I'm not going to say we were old, but we were older and we knew kind of exactly where we wanted our lives to go. I knew coming into it that I had some issues with infertility, so we kind of made plans quickly, and that's kind of how we got here, right, lady?
4 years later, 3 kids, house, and here we are.
Yeah. I knew very early on that I wanted to have a family. I've worked in some form of childcare my entire life. I've never really worked in anything but childcare or education or anything like that. And I knew that children bring me joy. I just love the dynamic of the chaos that kids bring to families. And so I knew from the get-go that I wanted a very big family. Obviously, we had some things that were thrown in the way of that, so I would take what we could get. But I did know that no matter what, I did want to start our family somehow. I just read success story after success story. People who were in a very similar spot as me, they had this condition, they had this going against them, they were this age. I saw CNY and I am in the area that was perfect for it, and I ran with it.
To back that, I'd probably just have to say the reviews blew us away.
Yeah.
What everybody had to say about you guys. That's pretty much what drew us in. Location, the reviews, price, all of it wrapped in one.
I tell everyone to this day, I have never been happier or more comfortable in a medical facility ever in my life. So it felt like I belonged there. It felt like there was no judgment. You know, you're in this room, this waiting room that's always very busy, but everyone is just very welcome. Our transfer nurse that we had every time, Ashley, was a saint. It just felt like everyone was always on our side, and that's what I loved. So there's not any specific doctor because everyone was amazing from the get-go. We went back to back with transfers. The first one we had, I was very new into IVF, obviously, and you have this really big level of hope that right from the get-go, it's going to happen. You know, it's going to happen. This is the answer. This is the end-all, be-all. So we had our first transfer, and you wait for beta day, and we got our numbers, and they were very, very, very low on the positive scale, and they warned me from the get-go, this is probably a chemical pregnancy. I felt like, okay, we know this is farther. This is something farther than where we've been. And so we get to the second transfer a month later, and that one was a complete fail. There was nothing there. And that's where I started to kind of feel it. I kind of felt like that hopelessness of, okay, why is it not working? Why does everyone else get success stories? And I know that we're just starting, but there's shots and there's pills and there's appointment after appointment, and I'm leaving work constantly. And so I was feeling that hopelessness, but I still had that support from everyone, and I just kept going, okay, it's fine, it's fine. So when we got to that one and it didn't work out, we had to regroup, and we were like, what are we going to do from here? Are we going to keep going? It's going to get expensive. My insurance is going to stop being super great about everything. Where do we go from this point? And so we made a decision to do one more, and then we were taking a step back. Whatever happens from that one, we're going from there. And so we did the third transfer, and I knew from the get-go, I was like, it's going to fail. We tried to do 2 embryos that time around as like a Hail Mary. We changed up my protocol. We added a few things in, and I knew. I was like, I'm waiting for beta day. I'm not going to test at home. It's going to be negative. I'm going to be so sad. And so I think it was 5 days after the transfer, I was like, hey, I feel different. Why do I feel so different? I just had like a different feeling. And I was like, I'm just going to go home from work. I'm just going to test. We'll see what happens. And I got home that day and I took a test, and it was blaring positive. And I was like, oh my God, we did it. We actually made it there. And so we did our first beta, and the numbers were insane. And as I said, we transferred 2 embryos, and we got to our first ultrasound, and they said, there's 2 babies in there. And I was like, we did it. We went beyond that. We did end up losing our second baby, our daughter, at 21 weeks, but we still got her. And we still got her. I'm gonna cry. But we did it, and it was because of CNY that we got there. So it wasn't easy, and it wasn't fun a lot of the time, but we wouldn't have made it this far. Any other world, in any other place. 3 transfers, and it was really hard, but it was really, really worth it. With infertility, the highs are really high, but the lows are low, and you're going to feel like you're in the gutter a lot of the time. And when that happens, you just have to, instead of quitting, what I kept telling myself was never quit on a hard day. Just finding people in a similar space and being very real with how you're feeling. Don't say, oh, it's easy, this is going to be fine. It's not. It's not easy. It's not going to be fine, but it will be fine. Eventually you will get there, but you have to go through the hard days to get to the good.